And so we have it here. Individuals now are inviting their pets to the wedding. And I'm not sure what's the purpose. It seems more as though these individuals probably need the support of their animals, but these animals are oblivious to what's happening. Um, I'm not sure how people came to this place where animals are becoming pets and featuring so significant in their lives. You see people walking around with dogs in the bosom and in strollers and in bags and a whole variety of things. And somehow the psychologists and other professions are recommending that they should have a pet. And some people seem to benefit in the health, seem to doing better, whatever. But I mean, it is such a fiat and such a stupidness that I just can't understand how the world could come to this way. There are several issues here. People think that animals have special wisdom because they behave in certain ways whenever there is a impending disaster. And just as when God was taking Noah and his family into the ark, he led the animals into the ark. And so, because animals don't have sense as us and don't have meteorological predictions and other ways of making rational extrapolations, God is the one that alerts them and prepared to save them because we will run away and leave them anyway, right? If push comes to shove, when economic downturn in certain cities, just walk and leave the pets. So pets don't have more sense than humans. Although I hear people say their cat has more sense than some people, and even those same people that say are dumber than the cats will do things for them that the cat can't do. Call 911, help them with CPR or whatever. Civilizations seem to come to a place where they go around into a certain spin, and they all come back to the same thing. Um, I see where Egypt, the people had pets, and there was a dog god, and they were worshiping it. I'm not sure what's happening, but something in there was happening. But I must remind you that it seems to me that this whole pet craze came primarily. They start saying that dogs are man's best friend, and there were illustrations that support this. And in my view, the dog wasn't necessarily man's best friend. The dog's just seeking his own interest. If the master's here and he runs away, and who's going to feed him? Who's going to take care of him? So he stays. And so they say, oh, he's so loyal. But the dog has some sense. But what happens is this: if a person has a pet and lives alone and dies, and there's no way to feed the pet and nobody knows, the dog eventually the dog or cat starts to eat the owner. And I can't understand how your best friend will start eating your body even though you're dead. Well, of course, in survival strategies on the sea, people eat their own friends and so on. But this animal thing is getting too far. They even talk about fish, how they'll spawn up in a river and the new ones will swim out and go out in the ocean, and when they're ready to spawn they'll come back up into that same river. And they're saying that the fish has this guide and this guidance, whatever, but this God is the one that is doing this shepherding and this, bringing in and all that kind of stuff. So when you think an animal is working smart, it's the angels and God that is working in it. God had said, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider our ways and be wise. How during the summer it works and stores up things for the winter and the fall and other times of vicissitude. And God is the one that is guiding them. So what God is saying, if you follow me, I'm going to help you to know when to do things, when to not to, and the difference. So that the dogs and the ant and the conies and all these going to operate in a certain way because God is guiding them. And if God is guiding us, there's no way you're going to sleep during the summer when it's time to work and expect that in the winter you can have anything to eat. The scripture talks about the slothful person and how they ought to behave and so on, and don't give bad reputation to the gospel of having to be contrary to the ant, sleeping in the summer and trying to see if you could scrunt by neighbors during the winter and so on. And so I find that we've come to this place and it's intentional because people are so dumb these days that they are going to be willing to give over their whole inheritance just for some kind of something. And you see what I think happens also when nations put youth as the pinnacle and the Jean Grand Jean of the society, it's not too long before it collapses. because even those same adults, they had to learn the hard through the school of hard knocks. They got to go to work, they got to have a wife and family and all that stuff. But at a certain time, they were very, very just like the regular youths. Although in these days, having poor education, poor health care, no guidance from parents because they're working or they're non-existent, and again, you have CPS, Child Protective Service, that taking away kids and put them in foster care where they're just growing up as beasts. I saw a guy last night and he said he was in a group home and he doesn't have a girlfriend and you are howling like a coyote. Ooh! I say, I mean, this guy needs help. But I mean, I can't really take care of this guy now. I mean, he's about in his 20s. God would help him if he would only accept him and so on. So they have people not accepting God, and then they bring on all these various stupid norms and mores and folkways and so on. Um, and so you ask the youth, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to school? No, they want to stay home and play video games and play computer and text and all that stuff. But you have to go to school to learn so as to avoid making mistakes that people who haven't gone to school learn. And although that is the case, I find that still every year people are making the same mistakes, although they go to school. Perhaps they're not listening to the parents and so on. And so anytime you put young people as the pinnacle and you put all your trust in them, man, you're about to have your society collapse. I heard people are saying today that they grew up on Star Trek and these sci-fi, science fiction and so on, and now they're taking those things as real and they're building on that to come up with new things. And oh boy, when you building things on facade and stupidness, man, you building up to collapse. You see what I'm saying? So I hope that some way somehow there are some people out there gonna show some wisdom and leave these animals alone, because animals can't be your service person and alerting you when you have a heart attack. They're not made for that. Many dogs were made to be scavengers, to clean up the earth when there wasn't the type of sanitation we have today. People die, things die in the forest. They were to eat it up and with the disease and everything, and they were cool. They won't die because of the immunity that they got from the parents and all, from the mothers and so on. And so it's sad to see how people are dependent on animals today. They put themselves into a position where they become so lonely and they're into themselves so much as opposed to sacrificing and having a family and so on. They just want to have fun. And then for companionship, they have a dog. Some people even having sex with the dog and animals. And we bring ourselves to the level of these animals. I recall many years ago, people would say, "This is my dog," talking about his friend. "This is my dog." Now they're calling the women bitches. And so, we are human beings. We're not animals. We were created different. Animals, they go through the whole gestation period from conception to birth, a month, sometimes 6 weeks, 3 months. Humans take 9 months, and perhaps Adam and Eve maybe 2 years. Who knows? And so the longer the gestation period is, more complex the organism is going to be. And these animals die so fast, and man was living up to 900 years, right? And these animals live so mature so quick because at one time now they were supposed to be food, and so you can't let them grow up and take 40 years to mature when you need to eat for those 40 years something. So they're growing up in 6 weeks and so on and so forth. It's helped to keep the food chain going real good. So I kind of pity these people here with this rooster in the wedding. I mean, you know what I found also is that some people come up with this way of doing things new, but they think outside the box. But they're thinking outside the box, but there's a bigger box then. So they're not necessarily, being free or whatever. And the only way you could think straight is if you make sure that you learn all that they teach you in school. But then they teach you not the things that you need to know, but generally, if you learn the things that they teach you in school and you practice it, you'd be okay, right? And so, so many people, but the scripture says that in the last days, men will be losing that is, men or women will be losing their minds, worrying about the things that are coming up on the earth because they've done drugs, they haven't no trust in God, and for companionship they have animals, and these things do not constitute strengthening of the human person to withstand the vicissitudes and the times in which we're going to be embarking on soon. So don't be caught up in this thing, and don't give dogs, control of your life, or animals. Human relationships, human interaction is always better. Parents need to have their kids interacting with others as opposed to being on computers, email, and animal, because they won't have the skills to deal with, job and interacting with others, and they're going to be very, very weird.